What was the first 1/18 scale diecast car you bought in your life? I'd say for a lot of people, it was probably a Lamborghini that started their diecast collection. And believe me, it was the same for me with my 1/24 scale Murcielago Roadster. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 1/18 scale diecast version made by Maisto of arguably the most famous supercar out there, the Gallardo. The Gallardo. When I said most famous supercar, I wasn't kidding. 14,000 Lamborghini Gallardos of all types were built between 2003 to 2013, with this first-gen Superleggera being introduced in 2007. And believe me, there are so many different versions. From the first-gen Gallardo over this first-gen Superleggera, the LP 560-4, the 570-4 Superleggera, the Spiders, the Super Trofeo Stradale, and then all the special editions, including Valentino Balboni, Bicolore, Tricolore police cars, and so on. With so much hype surrounding this popular supercar, it makes perfect sense for the Gallardo to have found its way in almost everyone's diecast collection as well, especially if you're collecting supercars. And if it still hasn't, we need to talk. What I mean to say by that is, if you're an everyday person who loves Lamborghinis, but don't own a single diecast Lambo, what the hell is wrong with you? You know what I mean? Because these cars don't cost a lot of money. They come in many other colors as well, including metallic yellow, green, black, and anthracite gray. And online they retail for around $30 plus shipping on average. But if you're in the US, you can actually stop by your nearest Costco, BJ's, or Sam's Club store and pick one up for $15. If you're in Europe, these Maisto Gallardos are a bit more expensive as they retail between 35 and 40 euros. In which case, I actually recommend to just pay a little extra and get the AUTOart Gallardo Superleggera for anywhere between 60 to 80 euros these days. Considering most 1/18 scale AUTOarts are in the 150 to 250 euro range, it is one of the cheapest 1/18 scale AUTOarts you can get. And since it is a Lambo, why are you still hesitating? You know what I mean. But returning to this car, there's quite an amazing story as to how I ended up getting this car for free. Just watch my unboxing video to find out. And I have to say, Maisto has really done a fantastic job on this one. And I plan on making a video someday where I compare this Maisto to the AUTOart, just to show you how well it can hold its own. But without any further ado, let's take the rest of this video to appreciate just this car and all the things that it has to offer. I'm going to begin this review by telling you how this car got its name. Superleggera means very light, so obviously the emphasis is on weight reduction. And this car is lighter than the base Gallardo by 100 kilograms, or about 220 pounds. And production of the Superleggera amounted to 618 units worldwide. So looking at the car's front profile, I think I belong to a minority here when I say that I actually prefer the looks of the first-gen Lamborghini Gallardo compared to the second-gen. I think the headlights of the first-gen Lamborghini Gallardo are just so iconic and big and unique. And these are not easy to do. Considering that Maisto is a budget manufacturer, the fact that there aren't any pegs on the headlights is astounding. And not only that, but Maisto actually put a lot of detail into these headlights. They're not perfect, of course, but they're quite close to it. You can see the individual bulbs, and overall the headlights really do look good. In the middle we have a Lamborghini badge. This is of course just printed onto the hood and not a separate piece like you would expect on a more expensive car. But that's fine because this is just a Maisto. I think it still looks good. Down below you have front air intakes. They're not perforated, but they do have a grille pattern on them. Got your windshield wiper detail here. It's pretty alright. And a little bit more detail on the dashboard. And now let's take a look at the frunk, or the front trunk. Being the trunk of a Lamborghini, you of course cannot expect it to have a lot of space. However, let's see what we can fit inside here. I mean, I've got this bag over here. I think it'll go inside. Yep. And perhaps we can fit another small laptop bag. And let's close the hood. So taking a look at the car's side profile, I mean, here's where I want to talk a little bit about the car's paintwork. So as you can see, the paintwork of this car is in an orange metallic, although I think it is cooler if you actually view this car as having a very dark gold paint, almost like a copper tone. And in real life, actually, at least to my eyes, this car appears less orange and more sort of brownish metallic, so that's the reason why I like to call it a copper paintwork. And in my unboxing video I called it gold, so it's kind of like a dark gold, but in this YouTube video it appears as if it's bright orange. You can see that the car has black rims, and I think that they fit in this context pretty well, especially with the black Superleggera stripe that runs along the side of the car. Up front we have indicators, however they're not separate pieces, they're just paint. But on the Pro side, if you take a look at the side mirrors, you can see that Maisto put the carbon fiber pattern on them. And that looks pretty good. For some reason this car does not really have suspension. I mean, it's barely there. You can see. Maybe it's just my model, I don't know. Now taking a closer look at the wheels, these have 15-spoke rims. You can see the Lamborghini logo in the middle, which is good, surrounded by 5 lug nuts. You can also see that we have a pretty detailed brake disc behind. However, the brake disc does not move with the wheels. On the Pro side, we have black brake calipers, and you got the Lamborghini branding on them. Over here to the back, you can see that Maisto actually put some textured grille onto these vents back here, so that's also nice. The side skirts, however, are not carbon fiber for some strange reason. Moving on to the back of the car, this is another way you can tell that this is a first-generation Lamborghini Gallardo instead of a second-generation one, because of the taillights. These taillights are more simpler and like square-shaped compared to the elaborate taillights of the second gen, which remind me of the taillights of the Rebenton a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we got more grille at the back. Again, textured plastic. The exhaust tips are not colored in, but you can do this yourself if you want to. In the middle we have a European license plate. This is Italy. Not sure exactly what BD stands for though. And then there's a BO on the right. If there's any Italians here, please tell me what that means. Probably Bologna. Further below we have this massive rear diffuser, and I think it looks very impressive. But arguably even more impressive is the carbon fiber wing up here. And it even has a brake light on the back that is painted red. Now regarding the taillights, on first glance it looks like they have gigantic black pegs, but that's actually how the light is supposed to look like. Instead, the pegs are actually these small circular ones here. Quite interesting. What I also like is that these vents here actually go all the way through. So that's pretty nice. And now let's get to our favorite part, which is the engine. One of the improvements of the Superleggera over the first-gen Gallardo is that the engine cover is actually transparent, which means you can see into the engine without having to open the cover. So that's pretty nice. But let's open it up anyway, and it opens like this. About this high. And now if we look at the engine, you can see just how much detail Maisto put in here. This naturally aspirated V10 engine was uprated by 30 horsepower compared to the base 493 horsepower Gallardo, for a total power output of 523 horsepower, allowing the car to accelerate from 0 to 100 km per hour in 3.7 seconds and achieve a top speed of 315 km per hour. That's pretty fine considering this is the younger brother of Lamborghini's back then flagship Murcielago. And now let's take a look at the car's interior. The doors open about this far, which is unfortunately not much at all. However, if we go inside, oh, by the way, here's a fuel cap, we will see that there is a Gallardo dorsal branding, which is cool. And inside, you can see that the interior is actually done very, very nicely, especially the carbon fiber work. So the center console actually has carbon fiber all over it, and it does say Lamborghini. You got the 3 fans on top of it, just like in the real car. And what you're seeing over here is actually the 6-speed E-gear transmission, which was standard on US spec models, while a 6-speed manual transmission was also offered. There are a few mold lines on the dashboard, which I do not really appreciate. They could have done this a lot better over here, but I mean the center part is really impressive. However, what I do miss is that if you look on top of the 3 fans, there should be like 3 further dials there showing the engine temperature, the oil pressure, and so on. And I have that detailing on the 1/24 scale Welly Lamborghini Gallardo LP560-4, which I've already reviewed on my channel. So if you're interested, you can check that review out. But on this Maisto 118 scale, they haven't put that detail on there. But apart from that, I mean, if you look at the seats as well, you can see that the seats have the 5-point harness, which is really cool. Seatbelt detail is usually something reserved for Hot Wheels Elite models, but here you have a Maisto doing just that. And another Maisto model that I can recommend, which also has this kind of seatbelt detail, is their Audi R8. I believe it's the V10 turbo version or something like that. It's not the base version, but that improved version. And it's not the latest one. It's actually quite an old model, and if you're interested, you can get that model as well. Very detailed. But yeah, you can see that these are racing bucket seats. Detailing on the floor as well. You can see the floor mats. So even though they don't have carpeting here, I don't actually miss it because we have this detail going on down there. Now let's take a look at the doors. And the doors also have carbon fiber on the door inserts. Let's check out the other side. So looking at the driver's side, I mean, you can see that we have a Lamborghini logo on the steering wheel, surrounded by a silver trim. We got the instrument panel with the individual dials in sort of like a 3-dimensional raised way. They are stickers, but they're at the same time also raised, so that's kind of interesting right there. Floor pedals are down there, although they're not painted. And here's a close-up of the e-brake. And here's another look at the seats. Oh, and I forgot to show you, you can actually see into the center console via this window back here. The reflective material for the mirrors is also pretty good quality. One thing I don't like about the interior, however, is that they did not paint this part black, which is the area around the front vent glass. So given that it has the same color as the car body, it kind of looks a bit weird. They should have painted it black. So you don't have this problem on the black Superleggera, but on any other color you do. And last but not least, let's take a look at the car's underside. Nothing special. You can see that it says Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera, scale 118, Maisto. Got a little bit of detailing here so that you can see the engine from underneath, which is very good. Transmission detail as well, and the tire tread. And here's another look at the rear diffuser. Alright. Alright guys, I do hope you liked this review of the 1/18 scale Maisto Lamborghini Gallardo. I had been only uploading 1/24 scale reviews for a while, so I decided to do this to freshen things up a little bit. Please do subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and have a nice day. This is Imperial Diecast, signing out.